Hey guys, welcome back to the Love Reignited podcast. I'm your host, Hebe, and in this week's episode, we are going to dive into what it really truly means to be the creator of your reality. And I'm going to share some powerful principles that you can utilize right away to start creating the life and relationships you deep down desire. But before I get started, please be sure to like this video as well as subscribe to my channel if you are finding value in my content, as I am here to ensure that you step into your highest self and create the life that you came here to live. Okay, so over the last few weeks, I have gained some really powerful insights into the life that I'm living, into the person that I'm becoming. And a lot of that came through while I was on vacation. I went on a trip to Mexico with my family as well as my partner. And what my partner and I decided to do while we were there was spend about 5 days doing the nomad life thing. And I ended up taking on clients while I was there, doing some work, and really truly seeing what it's like to live abroad and still be working. And that's something that I've always really truly wanted. And I've been in Vancouver for about 7 years now after I came back from actually living abroad and traveling and doing all the things. And I knew that I wanted change. I knew that I wanted something different. And this was a really beautiful way for us to do the trial, to do the thing and see what it's like. And sometimes what's really interesting is the things that we want, we may think we want them and then we get there, and in fact, it may not even be anything that we thought of. And if anything, it ends up being a lesson for feeling more gratitude for what we already have at home. This was not the case, though, this time around, because as it turns out, it was truly something that aligned with me. And I was so excited to come home and start doing all the things that I had to do, right? All right, babe, like, here's the plan. We started to make this plan and we started to, just really prepare and get all the steps in that we thought we had to do in order to have this reality that we want. And so I'm super excited and all the things. And then I get home and I get so sick for like 10 days. And I don't have energy. All of a sudden, my frequency is down. All of a sudden, I am just demotivated, uninspired. All I could think about is just getting better, as well as didn't help coming back to being in the weather, which was cold and dark and rainy and all the things. And I went from like high highs to like low lows in terms of my environment. And all of a sudden, it was really hard for me to get back into the groove of, doing the things that my partner and I spoke about and, planned so that we could actually live that nomadic life, to go, during the winters, to go live abroad and work from the beach and, that whole thing. And it was really interesting because while I was sick and while I was here, it was almost as though I was like, oh, I don't even know if that's something that could be possible. I don't know if that could happen. What about this? What about that? And all of a sudden I started to fall into like this cycle of doubt. And I was just feeling so low and I wasn't feeling great. And it was, and so then I did what I do. This is the work that I do with my clients, and I utilized some of those tools for myself. And I actually stepped in and I was like, okay, let's get clear about where this low frequency energy is coming from. Why am I feeling low? What is it that I'm feeling? And I went in and I sat with myself and I realized that what I was feeling was sad, right? And I was using my environment to reaffirm that sadness. And I'm going to go into that momentarily, and I promise there's a point to this. And I went in and I was like, okay, well, I feel sad. And okay, what am I feeling sad for? What is it that I'm getting out of this? Because one of the things you have to understand is whatever we feel, whatever behaviors we put out there, whatever actions we take, right, towards ourselves, towards other people, are always there because we're trying to meet a need. So anything we do is because we're trying to meet a need within ourselves. And sometimes that behavior could be destructive, or sometimes it could not feel great, or sometimes it could actually be really powerful, and it could be an empowering belief that we're utilizing to meet our needs. So in this case, I went in and I was like, well, I'm feeling sad. What is it that what need is it that I'm trying to meet by feeling sad? And what came forward for me was to feel alive, which is crazy, right? When you think about it, and it's like, well, why would you feel sad in order to feel alive? And I went deeper into it, and I was able to get a really powerful insight, and it was this, that the reality I was creating was coming in that moment, in this period over the last few weeks, was coming from a deep down conditioning of needing to feel sad in order to actually feel alive, in order to feel as though I exist, right? And it's the craziest thing, because our souls came to this world in order to experience themselves, right? We're here to experience ourselves. We're here to transcend into our highest evolution. That's why we took the human form. And what we want more than anything is to feel alive. We want to feel as though we exist. That's the only reason we came to planet Earth, is to feel alive, right? And there's a period of time in my life where feeling sad actually allowed me to be seen, and it allowed me to feel something, and it allowed me to meet some sort of a need. And it felt comfortable to feel sad, right? Because when I would feel sad, then I didn't have to do anything. You know, I could sit around, I could mope, I could victimize myself, I could feel sorry for myself, I could, it was almost like an excuse that I had been conditioned in my body to use for so long in order to actually meet the need of feeling alive, or, being in a state of comfort. And I remember growing up, I would always use my environment to reaffirm that addiction to sadness, because what happens over time is these emotions that we feel, they end up actually becoming, or even our behaviors, they're all just addictive patterns that we fall into, and it becomes so comfortable that it's the only way we know how to exist. And so then all of a sudden, we're going to look for everything in our environment to reaffirm that addiction. So we'll say, oh, well, look at the rain. The rain sucks. I get to be sad, right? Oh, well, look, my parents did this to me. Well, I guess I have the right to be sad, right? And that cycle just continually perpetuates a reality that we don't actually want. And it's really, truly up to us to break that pattern in order to create something we do desire, right? Because we know for a fact that sitting and moping around and feeling sad our entire lives, or victimizing ourselves, is not necessarily empowering. It's not the ingredients to creating a life we truly desire. And deep down, that our souls actually came here to live, because at the end of the day, this life is so fucking beautiful, despite the challenges that are happening around us, despite everything that's happening, despite what we have been through. We actually chose to come here. We signed a consent form and said, I'm willing to be human. I'm willing to be human. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Barbie movie. There are aspects of that movie that I really loved, and there are also questionable aspects of it as well. But there's the scene in which Barbie actually goes and experiences it, or she sees what it is to be human, to be all of human. And it's almost like, do you still want it, right? And there's the sadness, and there's the crying, and there's the happiness, and the relationships, and all these. It was this beautiful scene, and she got to see the entire spectrum of what it is to be human, and she still chose to be human, right? Despite everything that it comes with, the good, the bad, the ugly, the love, the joy, the sadness, the anger, right? She still chose to be human. And so we're actually very similar in that that's how we came into this earth, where we chose to be human. Our souls chose to take on human form, knowing that it's going to have a full spectrum of experiences. But what's really cool about this is that you get to actually choose, right, how you want to operate, and you get to choose the reality that you want to create. You have that ability within you. Just as I did in, falling, I could have, once I became aware of how I was using sadness to reaffirm this addiction to that feeling of being comfortable and victimizing myself and feeling sorry for myself because of, XYZ of things that have happened to me in the past, right? I had a choice. I could say, well, I'm going to choose to continue giving into the sadness, and then I'm going to continually create a reality that reflects more sadness. Oh, the rain sucks. Oh, my life sucks. Oh, but this is not working out for me, right? Or now that I have that awareness of the pattern within myself, I could choose a different reality. I get to choose, right, what it is that I want to now view the world from, or how I get to choose from what state of being I want to operate from. So for me, I no longer choose to use sadness to reaffirm my addiction to, victimizing myself and, trying to feel something at the least. I now get to actually choose anything I want. And so I choose joy. I choose connection. I choose freedom as my state of being in order to use that as a foundation for the life that I want to create. And again, at the end of the day, nothing is happening to you. Your environment and your experiences, your relationships, your circumstances are all just feedback for the operating system that you have within you. So if you don't like what you see within your environment, use that as feedback and as evidence for what's not working internally within yourself. And that is truly, life is one big grand game of perception. So if you are operating from a place of everything is happening to me, why doesn't anything work out for me? Why am I poor? Why am I alone? Why this is happening to me? If you are perpetually creating these thoughts and these belief systems within yourself, and you're reaffirming them constantly, right? Because you're teaching your body and your mind how to exist constantly. You are teaching your body and your mind how to think, how to feel, how to believe, how to see the world, and how to create a life that you have. So if you know this, right, then you now know that you get to step into a different operating system, right? One of which can be based on joy, can be based on freedom, can be based on love, can be based on connection, can be based on abundance, can be based on empowerment, right? So look at your environment, right? And this is the first principle, is really actually stepping into awareness, and look at your environment and say, do I like the reality that I'm living right now? Do I like my relationships? Do I feel fulfilled? Do I feel connected? Do I feel love? Do I feel joy? Do I feel as my highest self, right? And do I like the life that I have? And if the answer is no, right, then there's either two things here that you need to become aware of. Number one is, what operating system, right? What's in my operating system that isn't serving me? Is it a belief that doesn't serve me? Is it an emotion, a suppressed emotion that I'm holding on to, perhaps from childhood, or something that no longer serves me or is blocking me, right? Getting clear of that, of what is stored within your operating system that doesn't serve you, and then rewiring it, releasing, right, those patterns, and creating and inputting new ones that are more empowering, love, joy, freedom, etc. Okay, worthiness, right? So that's one aspect. The other aspect is, if you don't like the reality that you have, then perhaps it just comes down to, and it's so cliche to say this, but really truly changing your perspective and stepping into gratitude. stepping into more gratitude. Perhaps you need to incorporate more gratitude practices every morning to start seeing what you actually do have. And oftentimes you look around you, this world has, a lot of people are struggling in our reality, right? For example, you look at the LA fires, you look at the people in Gaza, you look at all of these different experiences that are happening to other people, how they have lost homes, they have, lost family members, they're living in turmoil. And seeing that should actually give you enough perspective for how lucky you are to have a simple problem of it's raining today and I don't like it, right? So you get to choose your perspective. You get to choose how you can actually feel even more gratitude for the things that you already do have. And you know what? Gratitude actually attracts more of the life you want. So you want to be utilizing that tool. Okay, so that's the first principle when it comes to creating the reality that you desire, knowing that you are constantly creating your life, the reality that you already have already. You're already doing it subconsciously. So now you might as well become intentional about it. The second principle of creating the reality that you desire is actually really, really fun. And in this case, we get to almost go back to our childhood. We get to become children again and use our imagination. Your imagination exists for a reason. And if you have a desire, it is because you are capable of achieving it. If you are aware of a desire and you have thought about it, it is because you are capable of achieving it. And I really wanted to emphasize that. You would not have a desire that you cannot possibly achieve, okay? You have to understand you are the extension of this universe. You are the extension of source. The power that you see within this universe and you look up at the stars in awe is the extension of who you are. Therefore, you are infinite possibility. What that means is that you can do anything that your imagination comes up with. So this is where you get to become creative and start thinking, if everything was available to me and nothing was impossible, what do I desire? And then use your imagination and start thinking about it and start feeling it in your body and get excited about it, because what you create within will always show up as a direct reflection in your reality. So you want to make sure that within here, you've already created that life you want, that you've already thought about it thoroughly, that you've allowed your body to feel it, your cells to integrate that new reality. And then watch the opportunities start showing up in your life that are there to help you step into that reality. Watch all the things that don't align with that reality start to either dissipate or show up as opportunities of things that you need to work on. So using your imagination is the most powerful way to start envisioning the life that you want, the relationships that you want. Is it more money? Is it more abundance? Is it more fulfillment? Is it more peace? Is it more connection, more community, more travel? What is it that you desire? Okay. And so that is something that I have used and has been so tremendously exciting, and knowing that I can just do anything that I want because I have the powers. And I always say this to people, I say this to my clients quite a bit, is you're literally a walking magic wand. You are a walking magic wand. You're constantly creating, and you're just poof, literally going into each moment, creating the life that you have. So get creative with it and start using that magic wand to create a life that actually aligns with your heart's desires. Now, the third and final principle of creating the life that you desire is courage. Can you step into the courage that it takes to say goodbye to old versions of yourself that are not you, and step into the most authentic expression of yourself that does align with the life that you want. Because you have to understand, we talked about how if you have a desire within you, it's because you're capable of achieving it. But if you have a desire within you and it feels empowering and it feels exciting and it makes you feel alive, it is because that's imprinted in the authentic expression of you. The authentic part of you wants to live a life that aligns with her. She wants to travel. She wants to have more meaningful relationships. She wants to create her business. She wants to go out there and speak on stages. She wants to do all of these things. It makes her feel whole. It makes her feel alive. So if you have that desire, can you find the courage to actually receive it? And oftentimes that courage really truly just comes with saying, I don't want the reality that I have created in the past, and I'm ready to step into something new, something better, something more empowering for myself. And you have to understand, when we're finding this courage to do that, we're not just cutting people out of our lives or saying goodbye to a city. And sometimes that might have to be necessary, but it'll happen naturally. But really what that courage comes down to is actually just stepping into our highest self. It's about becoming the version of ourselves that is in an energetic match for the reality that we desire. We need to become the reality that we want to create. Because without us shifting ourselves, without us finding the courage to change and letting go of the parts of ourselves and the identity that we have held onto for so long, right? We need to be able to release that. And we have to and it really ultimately, it comes down to having a conversation with yourself and saying, well, if this version of me is not living a fulfilling life, and I don't like the feedback of my environment and the reality that I've created for myself, then I need to find the courage to step into a higher version of myself, one that does reflect the reality that I want, right? And sometimes people are going to disagree with you. Sometimes you're going to get opinions from people that, are going to be just not exciting, right? Or that you might have opinions from family members that might discourage you to change. And a lot of times people find it uncomfortable when you change because it reflects back to them the parts of themselves that they are willing to tolerate. It reflects back the parts of themselves that they have chosen not to evolve. Right? So when you know this and you have this awareness, then all of a sudden the opinion of the people around you doesn't matter because it's never really about you. That opinion is actually just one that they have of themselves, and you just happen to hold a mirror up for them. So now that you have this awareness, you can now go and have the courage to be whatever the fuck you want to be and to have whatever life you desire to have, because you have that right. You have that right to do so. And what's really beautiful about this is that when you step into courage to change and you say, I'm going to choose different for myself, you end up inspiring the people around you anyway, even the ones who didn't believe in you, even the ones who questioned your decision. They will actually see that what's possible for them, and you get to become an expander for those people. And so this is where courage is one of the most beautiful things that you can step into, and really knowing that you are capable of achieving anything and everything because you came into this world inherently worthy. You came into this world both human and divine. What that means is that you get to be of this world, you get to be in this world, but not of it. And you then get to use this space as your playground. Earth gets to become your playground and you get to create whatever you want. So step into the sandbox, build the castle that you dream of, allow the sun to radiate in your face, show up with love, show up with imagination, with courage, with excitement, with awareness, and create that reality that you want, because it is so possible for you. It is so possible. When I tell you the amount of times in my life that I did not think that I would be able to achieve something, and I did, because I chose to become aware of who I was being, I had the courage to actually change that. I was able to use my imagination to think bigger for myself, to become infinite, knowing that, right? That I could do whatever I wanted. And I used to think to myself, there were moments I was like, there's no way. There's no way that I can create this reality. There's no way I could be in a 5-year relationship, which I'm in now, right? There's no way I could be living downtown and quitting my corporate job and doing my purpose, doing my soul's work. There's no way that I can get clients. There's no way I could build the dream business. There's no way I could travel to 36 countries. And here I am, having achieved all of those things, all because I was willing to step into self-awareness of who I was being and what was no longer aligned with me. I was willing to use my imagination to think bigger for myself. And then I was willing to step into courage to change despite what the people around me thought of me. And now those same people are listening to this very episode. This same people are coming to me asking me for guidance because they too want that life. They too want to step into the liberation, the freedom, the joy, the love, all of the things that they've wanted. So that's all for today, my loves. I want to wish you the most beautiful, beautiful day, night, wherever you are in the world, and know that you are truly, truly worthy of having it all. You get to have it all. Anyone that has ever conditioned you or told you that it is not possible to create a life and relationships and abundance and joy all at once, and to be able to have all of those things, is really truly just thinking through the limitations that they too have been conditioned to. So just know that it is possible for you, the same way it was possible for me, the same way millions of people are waking up and, escaping the matrix, right? And doing the thing, creating the life, creating the reality that they truly desire. So love you guys so much. I'll see you guys next week.